The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
And hello, everybody. Welcome into a Friday episode of Running Point on YSNLive.com. I'm amped today. It's Football Friday. It's Red Friday for my Chiefs. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good going into this weekend, guys. It's going to be a fun Week 7. We are just 4 weeks left of the regular season of high school football. That's nuts, man. We have 2 weeks left of the volleyball regular season. We are barreling right towards postseason time. It's nuts. It's nuts. I can't believe it. Football's a grind, but it seems like it goes like it in your mind. It kind of goes fast, but it like how do I explain this? Friday nights don't go fast. Friday nights are just a grind. You get through it, but then you're like next Friday hits and you're like, oh my gosh, we're at week 7 already. I can't believe this. We were just talking about the start of the high school football season. So it's one of those paradoxes in football, especially working in the media. I'm sure our friends at WFMJ can relate to. Like, it's a grind, and it seems like it's slow during the day, like during the night, and the next morning when you're putting up stories. But then all of a sudden, like during the week, and then you get the next week, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're at week 7 already. This feels like we just started week 1 yesterday. But that's how it goes. That's how we're living. We had a great week 7. We're gonna preview all of that, all the games in week 7. We're gonna talk about. We're also going to recap the night that was last night. So we have a lot to do, and we're gonna bring up the scoreboard. We're gonna be spending a lot of time on the scoreboard today because not only are we gonna recap last night's action, but we're also going to hop on to today's scoreboard and talk about the football game. So it's going to be full screen on your screen. The YSN scoreboard brought to you by Burnett Pools, Spas, and Hot Tub. You know, for those of you that are new listeners or new watchers, whether you're watching or listening, the Burnett Pools, Spas, and Hot Tub scoreboard is a great tool for YSN fans. Whether you're watching a game in person or maybe you're watching one of our broadcasts, either way, you don't want to look at your phone too long. You want to, stay locked into what you're doing. It's a really quick way to hop in, live updated. We have live updated scoreboard. You can go in, check in the scores of whatever team you're interested in. Maybe it's a crosstown rival. Maybe it's a team that's fighting with you with the conference standings. Maybe you just have a family member that's playing on a different team than what you're at. No matter what the advantage is, you don't have to hop broadcast. You don't have to text your buddy that's at the game. You can go to ysnlive.com/scores. You can find the YSN scoreboard, and it is presented by Burnett Pool, Spas, and Hot Tub. So if you ever utilize this scoreboard, make sure to keep some thankful thoughts in there for Burnett Pools. And maybe next summer when it's pool season, check on down Burnett Pools and see if they got anything that you can use to get yourself a pool. I know I would love a pool. Oh, summer's almost over. Let's go into the Thursday scoreboard from last night. We had plenty of volleyball, plenty of soccer. Springfield gets the 4-set victory over Waterloo. This started off shaky for the Tigers. They lost that one, won the next 3. You thought there might be a little bit of layover from the Tigers getting upset on Tuesday by Jackson Milton, but they regathered themselves. They're a very good team. They got themselves off the mat, and they went and dominated the next 3 sets and won this one the way they knew how. And Springfield is not a volleyball team we talk about too often that we really probably should talk about more. Jamaica Brungard and Balin Brungard are both putting up ridiculous numbers, kind of under the radar player. Balin Brungard has averaging a double-double. And she has a couple of triple doubles on her season as well. So she's putting up great numbers. And then Jamaica Brungard is near the top of the YSN family on blocks. So they're both killing it. They're both putting up numbers. And Springfield is one of those dangerous teams that if you lazily walk into the jungle, it's mess around and find out time. But they get the win over Waterloo in 4 sets. We go to the big one in Ashtabula County last night. It's the third meeting between Edgewood and Jefferson of the season in Ashtabula County. These rivals meeting for the third time. Jefferson gets the win in 4. Not only did they get the win, but their setter, Helena Edgar, gets the all-time career assist record at Jefferson. She is at 1778 and counting. That means she's awfully close to 2,000. You got a couple of weeks left in the regular season, and you got postseason, and they're poised to make a pretty deep tournament run. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that her as a 5-1 setter gets to 2,000. She only needs a little bit over 200 to get there. I think 2,000 is pretty much in her reach. Big win for Lakeside. They needed one. They get the 3-1 victory over Conneaut. If you're new to our recaps, we're going to do the first 3 columns first, and then we'll scroll over for the last one. I was in Southern Local last night. Columbiana gets the win in 3 sets over Southern. Man, look at this. Look at this. Columbiana goes to Southern. This match was amazing. The atmosphere was amazing. I've never been in Southern gym before. This was my first time going down to Salineville for a game. That gym gets loud. I think it's because it's kind of a smaller gym and it's all concrete and they don't have any of those like acoustic pads on the wall or anything. Like that gym echoes like crazy. It doesn't take a full crowd because it wasn't like filled for capacity. It was a big crowd, but it wasn't like sold out. So it doesn't take a sellout to make that place loud. Like this place was rocking. For the JV game, it was rocking. Like I was trying to get on Wi-Fi and talk to their AD and talk to their tech guy, and I couldn't hear myself. I couldn't hear them. It took me a while to get on the Wi-Fi because I couldn't hear what the password was, and it was crazy. The JV game was nuts. It went to 3 sets, and Columbiana got the win in the JV game. And then this varsity game, even though it was a sweep by Columbiana, every set was right there down to the wire. 25-21, 25-23, 27-25. The Clippers just made plays. They would not let Southern Local take a run late in the sets. Southern Local had a run in each set. They had at least a 6-point run in each set. But when it mattered the most, when the set was on the line, especially in the 3rd set, Southern would get a point, like stay alive, tie it up. But Columbiana would never, ever let them get those 2 points in a row when you go to extra points that are so crucial. Southern never had set point. Columbiana had a couple of match points in a row that Southern was able to save off, but Southern never had set point because they could never get those 2 points in a row. Columbiana always siding out, always making sure that their next play. It was really impressive. And the thing I love about this Columbiana team, they don't have one superstar that's killing it. Like they are so balanced. You look at their kill totals. They had 4 players with 5 or more kills last night. Kelsey Cameron, Landry Smith, Ellie Jackson. They were all swinging. Cameron Perkins swinging. All of them had kills. Then you have Ava Heinrich, who had 2 kills out of the back row. She's getting digs. You have so many great players on this team. It's really well balanced. You can't sit there as a defense and say, okay, if we shut this person down, we're going to be golden, because they'll just bring up the next one. Ellie Jackson does not get enough credit for the things that she does for this team either. She got a triple-double last night. In the close games that Columbiana plays, usually she has a triple-double. Like when teams are swinging well enough on Columbiana to get, double-digit digs, she's probably back there getting those digs. She's always getting assists, always getting kills. She's averaging a double-double, but, it's not her fault that Columbiana dominates most teams and doesn't get the opportunity to get double-digit digs. But when they do have a team that gives them a fight, like Southern, it's almost a lock that she gets double-digit digs. Let's go to the next one. Hubbard got the 4-set victory over Struthers. And that was a big NE8 win for the Eagles. They are sneakily having a good season. Don't forget about the Eagles come tournament time. Ashtabula St. John, they run away from Bristol 3-0, the final score there. We have Crestview, no doubt about it, sweep over Newton Falls. But you look at the scores, Newton Falls, a much improved team from the first time they played Crestview. First time they played them, Newton Falls didn't get in the double digits in the 3-set losses. Excuse me there, but this time they played them. Newton Falls really did put up a fight. They were in double digits every time. It was 25-21, 25-13, 25-17. So 2 of the 3 sets, they got over 15 points. They were really pushing Crestview more than most MVAC teams do. But at the end of the day, Crestview they got 30 kills combined from Abby Imch and Grace Hour. They both had 15. Blasco, 15 digs. Great defensive performance. Laney Hour had 7 kills. It's just it's coming at you from so many different ways, and you can't keep up with it. Katie Lissey's having a great second half of the season. She had 3 aces and a couple of kills as well from the right side. So you're getting way too much offense out of Crestview and way too many avenues to stop. You can't stop Abby and Grace at the same time. And man, Crestview's good. Crestview is good. I got Gerard next week. No, 2 weeks. Last week of the season. On the 11th, I believe. They're playing Gerard. That'll be fun. Let's go into the next game. It was East getting the 4-set win over Cheney. East now has 8 wins on the season, so they're putting together a pretty impressive win total there. Austin Town Fitch claims a share of the AAC. That's going to be their 4th straight AAC championship. They can win it outright on Tuesday in senior night when they host Canfield. The only team that can catch them right now is Boardman. They're technically 2 games back with 2 games left. So if Boardman wins the last 2 and Fitch, someone throws a monkey wrench into it and Fitch loses the next 2, then technically Boardman could share the AAC with Fitch. But that is not likely. Could happen, but you never know. Boardman really needed this win. If they would have gotten this win at home in Boardman, they would have been set. They would have been set with the 2 games left trying to share the AAC, but it was not to be. Fitch got the win. Afton Roby had a big game. You can find a post-game interview with her and Coach Herberger on the story at ysnlive.com. Beaver Local, they played Indian Creek, and the Redskins got a little bit of revenge against Beaver Local, who won the last meeting between these 2 teams in 5 sets. This time in Beaver Local, it's Indian Creek that gets to win in 4 sets. So both road teams in this matchup get the wins. Beaver Local wins in Indian Creek, and Indian Creek wins in Beaver Local. We'll go to back to the NE8. Gerard keeping pace. They're trying to get that second matchup with Lakeview to mean the championship, which they do in this day with a win over Poland in straight sets. You got LeBray sweeping Brookfield 3-0. You got Wellsville and Latonia doing battle. Wellsville gets the straight set victory. Lisbon beats East Palestine in straight sets. Eliza Baker, who is up for Baird Brothers Big Dog of the Valley, has a big day for the Blue Devils and helps them put away the Bulldogs. Howland Tigers, they get a 4-set victory over Mooney. You got United getting the sweep over Valley Christian, and then Canfield gets the sweep in the AAC over Warren Harding. So now let's scroll down to the boys soccer field and see how they did. So now, if you're just watching us for the first time, I say this every day, but I want to remind people that this whole scroll bar routine that I have to do on my computer is only for my computer. You do not have to worry about this if you are just how am I supposed to get all the way down? See, this is crazy. It's because my computer is formatted to be bigger text because I can't see because I'm blind. So I'm going to try to figure this out, try to get to the rest of the scoreboard here. But if you're on your normal computer and you're not blind as a bat like I am, you'll be able to work the scoreboard with relative ease. Niles beat Lakeview Lakeview beat Niles, a little bit frazzled there, but 9-0. Lakeview gets the win. How about Columbiana? A big 15 spot on East Palestine in boys soccer to get the win there. United gets the win over Champion 12-0. We have Austintown Fitch falling to the strong Howland team 4-0. South Range gets the loss to Hubbard 1-0. Gerard and Poland tie at 0-0. And while we're over here, why don't we just scroll to this side and then go back up. Grand Valley loses to Edgewood 3-0, and Ursuline beats Badger in a close one 2-1. Maybe now we can scroll all the way down. Okay, here we go. See, I would have missed a whole row, whole 2 rows. All right, let's get this. Let's get the next row of soccer. Canfield got the win 4-1 over Warren Harding. Mooney got the win over Niles 2-1, the final score there. Pymatuning Valley 8-1 over Lordstown. So we scroll down to girls soccer, and then once again we'll do the last row. Last, we have Badger getting the win over Brookfield 14-0, the final score. We're in JFK with a strong performance 6-1 over Pymatuning Valley. We have United getting the win over Rootstown 3-2. Champion beats Springfield. I know this score because I posted it 8-2, the final score there. Harvey falls to Grand Valley, a big win for the Mustangs, 1-0, the final score. And then Boardman girls get the win over Cleveland Heights. Oh, man. Well, then the Kelsey brothers not happy with Boardman. 3-0. Boardman, 4-0. Boardman gets the win over Cleveland Heights on the soccer field. So now let's go to this last row. We'll scroll back up. Salem boys win over Ravenna 6-0, the final score there. In a 4-4-0 matchup, Grand Valley gets a 3-0 win. Badger wins 2-1. The volleyball final row looks like this. West Branch gets the sweep over Salem. 3-0 is the final score there. How about Campbell Memorial? They officially have the most conference wins in program history. 3-1 win over Champion, but they also have their setters set more records. Carla Ramirez Ortiz sets the record for assists in a match. And she had, let's see, I'm going to get the number from Coach Allen. She had 48 assists last night in this matchup. So that's the record for assists in a match. She also has the record for assists in a season, in a career. She's sitting at 1982. So next match, you probably see Carla Ramirez Ortiz get that 2,000 career assists. So congratulations to her. They're going to be at Brookfield on Tuesday, and that's probably going to be a milestone night for Camel. Liberty gets the 4-set loss over Garrettsville Garfield at home. Lakeview doesn't hear any kind of talk about upset alert at South Range. They get the sweep over the Raiders. And then last but not least, Ursuline gets the win over Heartland Christian in 4 sets. So that does it for our volleyball soccer recap. Let's take a break here on Running Point, and when we come back, we will talk about Week 7 of football and the excitement that's around it. We'll be right back on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
Craftsmanship to us is 60 years of pride and dedication.
Passed down from generation to generation.
The hardwood floors that your kids take their first steps on.
The solid wood doors you quietly close at night.
The things we create day in and day out are the products that end up turning your house into a home.
At Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, uncompromising quality and craftsmanship built our business.
And it will keep us moving forward for generations to come.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means we want to take care of the community that takes care of us too.
And we have to work together always. And that's how you stay in business for 40 years.
You know, I love being a helper because when I help somebody, it makes me feel good.
It means a lot that I can make a difference in others' lives.
So I will do everything I can and just being there for them every step of the way.
I want them to know within the first 5 minutes that they could depend on me. That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
As Comco celebrated 70 years in 2022, we have much to be thankful for. We are proud of the Comco culture as we serve our customers with Comco Care with our premier customer service, quality parts, and on-time delivery. The partnerships we have with our customers and our community are second to none. We thank you for your continued support. We are proud to be part of this community and will continue to offer great jobs for great people.
Change. This one word can make you break out in a cold sweat. But with change comes wisdom, experience, and understanding. At Myers Family Insurance, we can help make changes in Medicare, insurance, and retirement a positive experience for you and your family. We've gone through changes, like our new office and new faces to help our family of clients too.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance. Check us out online at MyersFamilyINS.com or find us on Facebook.
Your culinary adventure awaits at Legends Food and Drink. Experience a welcoming ambiance while you explore our appetizing menu featuring over 20 meals under $20 and over 30 lunches for $12 or less. Our private dining room seat between 10 and 20 at no additional cost. And don't forget our spacious 35-seat bar for your favorite sporting event. Book your special occasion in our elegant banquet room that seats up to 150 comfortably. Legends Food and Drink, a taste you'll remember. Market Street and Route 224 in Boardman.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you, as always, by our friends up in that top right corner of the screen, Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you, so you don't have to. We try to do the same thing every single day here on the show, and we try to follow our sponsors' lead. Go the extra mile for you. The way we do that on Fridays is we go into the scoreboard and we break down the Friday football schedule. We talk about the games. Power Hour Super Show picks the games. Going to be really fun. Let's pop into that scoreboard. I should say hop back into the scoreboard, brought to you by Burnett Pools, Spas, and Hot Tubs. We'll get off a Thursday, and we will go right into Friday, which is September 29th, 2023, Week 7 of high school football. Look at all the games that are going on inside the YSN family. 27 live broadcasts on the network tonight. Don't miss a minute of it. ysnlive.com/live is where you can get it. How about this? Pymatuning Valley, they are going to face Fairport Harding tonight, and Pymatuning Valley coming off that big win last week where they scored a monster 64 points. Can their offense do that again? I don't know. They're not an offense built for that kind of number, but they are very physical. They are very big. We were talking about it with Sam Torres on the Joe Dickey Electric scoreboard show last week. There's something in the water at Pymatuning Valley because every time you watch them play football, their offensive line, their defensive line is just like a monster. They're all huge, and they're all strong too. It's not just big kids out there that want to get pushed around anyway. They're big, they're strong, they take their weightlifting very seriously. Pymatuning Valley is a team that even if you beat them, you're going to feel the fact that you played them for sure. They have a big test tonight on the road at Fairport Harding. Lakers do. Perry Pirates, one of the favorites in Division 5, going to go into Pepper Pike to play the Lions tonight. It's a big opportunity for Orange, who's had a up and down season, to kind of shock the world a little bit and knock off one of the premier teams in the region. Middle Ridge will take a break from MVAC play and host Matthews tonight. Middle Ridge is just one of those teams, man. They are deadly. They are deadly when they get going. They've been slowed down a couple of times this season, but when they're on, and you got to watch out for them. Let's go to the biggest one probably in the MVAC tonight. It is Western Reserve. It is Springfield. First place in the conference on the line, and I know it's week 7, so there's still going to be plenty of weeks to play after this, 8, 9, and 10, 3 to be exact. 3 more games to go. But you got to think the winner of this game has a really strong foothold of the league the way it's going right now. There are a couple of teams that might be able to throw monkey wrenches into those plans, but overall, both these teams so far in the first couple of weeks of conference play have really put themselves head and shoulders above the rest. Western Reserve has won a couple of close games, but they got out of those tough ones. This one's going to be their biggest test. On the road, in the jungle, in Springfield, can Western Reserve come up with a big win? They've been close game warriors this year, which I like to see because last year they were the opposite. They lost a lot of close games last year. This year, Western Reserve is making those game-winning plays down the stretch. They're making the type of plays that win games, and they're winning close games, which tells you that they're going to be a team to watch in the playoffs too, because you will not go through a whole playoff run without running into a close game. It's just not going to happen, usually. South Range, a little bit of a unicorn last year. They swept their way through the playoffs. But most times, you don't go through a playoff run without facing adversity, facing a close game, having to make plays in the fourth quarter to win. Western Reserve has proven time and time again this season that they're ready to do that. So if it's close in the fourth quarter, I'm giving a little bit of an edge to Western Reserve. Doesn't mean it's going to be close in the fourth quarter. Just saying if it is, you see Western Reserve a little bit more experience in close games so far this season. Warren JFK trying to get back on track. They're going to travel to Rootstown. That's a tough road test for Warren JFK. Rootstown is a very good football team. So JFK trying to get back on track. We'll see if they can do it on the road against the Rovas. Boardman traveling to Warren Harding after the tough loss, not just the football loss, but obviously, one of their teammates gets injured pretty bad, had to be, ambulanced off the field. Those kind of moments can take teams two ways, right? You can either, let it affect you the wrong way and come into the next week kind of not focused, not prepared, not mentally ready to play. Some teams though say, hey, we got to do this for this guy, right? We have to band together and go win for this guy. And hopefully for Boardman's sake, they're able to do that at Mollenkoff Stadium tonight against the Raiders. Big one in the 88, and Struthers trying to keep their foot on the gas pedal. But I'm still watching this Lakeview team wondering if they're going to wake up from the last 2 weeks where they kind of looked lackadaisical, because in the first 4 weeks of the season, this team looked like they could play with anybody. They lost to South Range by 6 points, right? And then after that loss, they get 2 games in a row where they just get blown out. So you wonder if Lakeview can snap out of it a little bit. And if they can, this is going to be an absolute good game. They're back home, which should help. Struthers is on a roll right now. They came off that tough loss 2 weeks ago to South Range. They let out every minute of frustration last week. So you wonder how this game will go. I think it's going to really depend on what Lakeview shows up, because if we see the Lakeview that we saw the first 4 weeks of the season, then this will be a dogfight, no pun intended, for the Bulldogs. But if not, Struthers can make this pretty quick. The Wildcats strike really fast. Carter is a great running back. He can break loose. Like, he might be, there are more powerful backs, probably a couple backs that are a little bit faster in the YSN family. But one of the things I think I'm going to give Carter the best at, like the best running back in this category, evasiveness. Like the way that guy just kind of sneaks past people and breaks tackles. And he's like one of those guys that you think you got close, you think you have him contained, and then all of a sudden he just makes a little jitter move and he gets past. He's a very evasive running back. He's hard to bring down, and especially when the linebacker's thinking, I got this guy, I got him, man, I gotta have him, and then all of a sudden he's tackling Casper the Friendly Ghost, and Carter's running down the other side of the field. It's awesome to watch running backs do that. How about Grand Valley? The Mustangs traveling to Harvey. This is going to be a tough game. Harvey, not a YSN school, but we've known for a while that they've put up some big numbers against our Ysn school. So a big test for the Mustangs on the road as well. United traveling to Latonia. They're trying to bounce back from the loss, right? The shocker last week. Lisbon punches him in the mouth a little bit, 21-20. This is not the time that you want to play United, I don't think. I think Latonia is looking at their schedule like, come on, man, this is already going to be a hard game. And now we have to play United when they're angry, when they're upset, when they're vigilantly focused about trying to trying to wash out the taste of last week. Like, you not want to play a good team when they're angry, right? Lisbon caught him off guard. Lisbon got him on their heels. They weren't an angry football team in that game, and they made a few, mistakes that cost them the game, really. Latonia is in a tough spot. You never want to play a team in that part of their schedule. Wyndham going to host Ashtabula St. John tonight. Wyndham on a tear a little bit. We talked about Wyndham, around week 3, week 4. Can they find their identity after losing such a good senior class? They were struggling, but, you look at the last couple of scores for Wyndham. They're starting to find it, putting it together a little bit. So Wyndham with a big opportunity tonight to get another win in Wyndham this time, Bomber country. And we're going to see what the Bombers can bring to the table. How about this big one in the EOAC? Southern Local against Columbiana. Columbiana on a little bit of a roll too, right? Columbiana's got a couple of close losses. You can't let that record that they have right now with just 2 wins really fool you too much, because a couple of those losses are also very, very close, where they were 1 play away from winning. So that you could argue they're a couple of plays of winning and being 4-2 right now instead of 2-4. But that makes them dangerous, and especially at home. They're feeling it. It's a long drive from Southern to Columbiana. It really is. I'll tell you what, driving to Southern last night, like, you feel like you're traveling a lot farther than you are, because there's all these windy, bendy roads that are like back roads to Southern. So I feel like even though you're not traveling a huge, unbelievable distance, you feel like you are, because you're going back and forth. You go through the back roads of Salineville. They're going to have to travel all the way to Columbiana and get a win. But Southern Local in their own right looked very, very, pristine, very, very good last week. Not too many things you can take away from that game and say they did not play well. They forced turnovers, which is a big hallmark of a good team. You got to be able to take the ball away. South Range hosting Girard. Girard, can't really figure Girard out. They looked really good in week 3, weeks 1 through 3. They lose 2 in a row, heartbreaking fashion. Then they get a huge win last week. So what's Girard going to look like? What Girard team's going to what Girard team's going to be there? One thing I will say is this will be a different test for South Range than every other NE8 game they play, right? Because we said it before, Girard is kind of the unicorn in the NE8 in the fact that they're not a lineup physical, we're going to ground you till you lose the will to go on team. They are hey, we're really fast, we're really, really athletic, we're going to try to use that, get our guys into open space kind of team. And if you let Girard run, you're in a lot of trouble, especially on the turf at South Range. So a little bit different, definitely different than their opponent last week. South Range not going to be in a 21-7, slow offensive game. If they can, unless they can control the ball like they did in the fourth quarter, that was something amazing to see. South Range going to have to do that, right? If you want to beat a team that can score quickly and use their speed, you got to control the football. So South Range's main goal, I think, in this game is going to be ball control. Those long, sustained 12, 13 play drives. But we always talk about this. Those are double-edged swords, right? Because if you do that and then you don't score, or you settle for a field goal, kind of kicking yourself in the butt, because you just wasted all that time. You didn't get anything out of it. So if you're going to make that a game plan, you got to be able to finish those drives. You got to be able to punch it in the end zone when you get in the red zone after you have a 13, 14 play drive. Otherwise, you wasted, 8 or 9 minutes, and then all of a sudden Girard gets the ball back. They score really quickly, and now you're down with a lot of time off the clock, right? So South Range going to try to control the clock, going to try to finish drives a little bit better than they did against Poland, and win this one at home, back home for the first NE8 home game, if I'm not mistaken. Struthers was on the road, Lakeview on the road, Poland on the road. So, yeah, they're coming home for their first NE8 game. Newton Falls traveling to a very hot Crestview team. Newton Falls is another team like Girard you can't really figure out. They look really good sometimes. They don't look good sometimes. They're very inconsistent right now. Crestview's on a roll. What team's gonna show up? I think games like that are very interesting because they're hard to predict. They're very unpredictable. You don't exactly know how it's gonna go because you can't really pin down, which facet of the team was gonna show up. I'll tell you one thing though: if Crestview doesn't stop Rapsack from running the ball like he did against Liberty, then they're gonna be asking for trouble. Because despite the loss to the Leopards, he was a man on fire, like Denzel Washington in the movie. He was coming and taking names and taking revenge on everybody on that defense. There was no stopping him last week for the Tigers. It didn't end in a win, couldn't get him the win, but statistically, he had one of the best games of his season. So if Crestview's defense can't put a stop to him, then they're going to be looking at each other, trying to find answers. Let's go to Wellsville East Palestine. This is an interesting game. We've seen East Palestine right there. We've seen them be very competitive. Even in that 7 local game that got kind of ugly, there was a couple of moments where like, okay, East Palestine's driving. They can make this a game, and this is one moment in particular. I think it was a 14-point game, and East Palestine's driving. They're in the red zone. They have a really good play call. The throw's there. It's on the money. Hits the receiver. And then Southern kid just comes from the behind and just drills the receiver. Ball pops in the air. Turns into a Southern pick six, right? Not the quarterback's fault. Really not the wide receiver's fault. He got drilled. It's just one of those really good plays by the defense. They have a job to do too. And sometimes in football you see like offense executes well, defense executes well, and the ball just goes one way. And that time, both teams executed that play pretty well. The ball popped in the air, and Southern takes it for a pick six. So that was a game-changing play. But East Palestine right there, they're at home against Wellsville. You never know how this will go. Salem, they can take out a lot of frustration tonight on a Minerva team that is just really struggling. So you might see Salem get their first win of the season tonight. How about Geneva? They're a very good football team. They're going to Conneaut. Both these teams, physical as all get out. I expect this game to be pretty low scoring because they're both really good defensively and they're both really slow, methodical on offense. So I don't expect this to get into like the 30s. Geneva's hard to score on. We saw that last week. Geneva is really hard to score on. Their logo is a ripped eagle for a reason. They're a strong team. They're a physical team. They're a big team. Conneaut the same way, though. Every time we've seen Conneaut play and win this year, it's been because of their run game and their physicality. So two strengths meet. Who's going to have the last punch? That's what this game's going to come down to. Marlington West Branch. I like this one. Marlington, a little bit of a resurgence, right? Their football program in years past has been down. Not impressive. This year, just one loss in the season, right? So they're coming in. They're saying, okay, we're going to take out a lot of whoopings that West Branch has given us in the past. We're going to get payback for it. But West Branch is like, time out. We might not be the same West Branch, but we're still just as good. Look at what Bo Alasas is doing. I want to give myself a little pat on the back because if you go back to running points even before the season started, I was telling people like, hey, Bo Alasas is for real. You got to watch this kid. He's going to do exactly what Drew DeShields did 2 years ago when he took over. And people are like, no, I don't know. You can't replace Drew DeShields. He was just too good. And you're not replacing him. We'll never replace Drew DeShields. But Bo Alasas is really good in his own right, and I think he's proven it right now. They've already broken a couple offensive records this season. They'll need to do it against Marlington. Marlington's a really good challenge for this West Branch team. But they've already defeated the undefeated Ridgewood. They've had big challenges already. So they're not going to be going into this game not battle-tested. I'm excited for this one. I'm excited to see what West Branch can do against the Dukes. Waterloo traveling Jackson Milton. Jackson Milton trying to have a bounce-back victory after they lost to Springfield. Waterloo, scrappy team. They fight to the end. You cannot say that, a lead is safe when you're playing Waterloo. So if Jackson Milton wants to win this game, they have to keep their foot on the gas pedal at all times. I'm interested in this next one, though. Look at Poland. Look at Niles. Poland, they really wanted that one last week. Can they bounce back from it? Like you want South Range more than anything. We saw how Lakeview responded to losing close to South Range. And we saw how Struthers responded too. Double-edged sword, right? You either pick yourself up off the mat and say we were really close, we're going to be confident, we're going to go for the rest of the season and win, and we're not going to let that South Range game define us, or you let it define you and you go make mistakes the next week. So we've seen two teams handle that in two different ways, right? How does Poland handle it? I'm very interested because this is not a game they can cakewalk into. Niles means business this year. Antoine Gardner means a lot of business. And this Niles defense that played spectacularly last week against Beaver and Local, they mean business. Like everyone talking about the run game, but their defense is raising their hand like, we're here. We're still here. Like, don't forget about us, right? So Niles taking a Poland team that's desperate for a win. They need the win. They need this win. Poland cannot afford to take a second loss. So Niles is playing a desperate team, a desperate Poland team that needs a win. Those teams are dangerous. Poland, if they want the NE8 chances alive, they got to get this win against Niles in Bahrain Stadium. Important game for the Bulldogs. Edison East Liverpool. I really thought this was going to be a matchup where East Liverpool was going to play an undefeated Edison team. It didn't work out that way. Toronto got the win over Edison last week. So now Edison is a one-loss team. They need a win. You talk about Poland. You had two teams back-to-back talking about week 7. They're both in the same boat. Like Edison was rolling high, was beating the snot out of everybody. They play a really good Toronto team. It's close. It's right there. They lose by 8, 28-20. So now Edison, they can't go to 2 losses. They can't afford with their schedule. They don't have the point system to make up 2 losses. They got to get this win to get a formidable seed in the region. Can Edison do it? This is going to be a big win for them if they can pull it off. East Liverpool, a very good team. So can Edison go to the Potters place and get a win? Can they bounce back from that tough loss against Toronto? I think they're in the same exact boat as Poland. They're playing a very good team, but Edison's going to be desperate to get a win. And those games are always dangerous when you're playing against teams like that. Garrettsville Garfield looking to stay as dominant as ever. They'll go to Liberty, a team that's starting to find their mojo a little bit. Tawan Tutwiler starting to really put up big numbers. Dwayne and Dewan Moody are very good. This Liberty team can score fast. So it's all going to be about the start. I think the first quarter will decide this game. If Liberty can get momentum and score really quickly, then they can make this a game. But if Garfield does what Garfield has been doing all season and just takes the momentum by the horns and runs with it, then Liberty might be in for a long, long night. Don't forget 2 years ago, this is kind of the same thing. Liberty was a team that was up and down, and Garfield came into Liberty as a undefeated team, and Liberty gave them a heck of a game. Heck of a game. Now, obviously, different players on both sides now, so you can't call that too much of a difference maker. But don't forget, like this Liberty team, not intimidated by anyone. They're not gonna be one of those teams that loses to Garfield before they even step on the field because they watch them get off the bus and they tighten up really, really quick. Liberty's not going to be a team that does that. So it's going to be interesting. How about this? This is the one. Walsh Jesuit, Archbishop Hoban, a rivalry like no other in football. But every team that's come up against Hoban has fallen, and it hasn't been close. Even the good teams, St. Ignatius comes and, splat. What's this team going to do to Archbishop Hoban? I mean, I don't know. The Knights have been unfazed. They've had a couple of slow starts, mind you. A couple of games where it looked like it was going to be close, and then, they just find another gear in the second half and just say, we're better than you. We know it. We're going to prove it. This is a Hoban team on a mission. They went to the state finals last year. They lost in the state championship game in a game where I feel like they're looking at that tape saying, we beat ourselves. We had turnovers late. Can't do that. We should have won the state last year. And, man, if you've watched the Kelsey documentary, one of the things that Travis Kelsey said in it was when you lose the game, it makes you so hungry to get back to it. Hoban's kind of living that right now. They look like a team that is just deadlocked, complete vision into we're going to go win a state championship, and no one's going to stop us. Their next opponent is just a faceless name, right? Except it's not, because it's Walsh. And if you're a Hoban student and you're a Hoban player and you can't get up for Walsh, then you better check your pulse at the door. This game means a lot to both communities. It's going to be a thriller in Akron. We go to McDonald, going to Lowville. I think this is going to be a fun one. I really do. Contrasting styles of football, just like the Girard South Range game. I think this one's going to be kind of the same way. What team can control the momentum, not the momentum, but the rhythm of the game? What team has the ball most? Time and possession is going to be big. McDonald, I think, has to win the time and possession game. They have to win it handedly, too. They have to be able to control the ball, just like South Range does against Girard. And then Lowville, on the other hand, they got to score. They got to score quick. They got to put the pressure on that McDonald offense, because that slow, methodical team's not good at coming back. So Lowville wants to take a lead early. McDonald wants to slow the game down and keep the ball away from the Rockets. We'll see which one prevails in that battle. Campbell Memorial has a great opportunity to get a big win for themselves. Champion, obviously, struggling this year. They lost so many seniors a year ago, and a lot of them to college football. So, they're just trying to find an identity, and Campbell's been a team that has been competitive, but just not there yet. So this is a really big opportunity for the Red Devils to show themselves and show Coach King and show the community that we are putting in the work. The results will come. We have to trust the process. It's really hard to do that when the results don't come. So this is a game where the results can get there, and they can keep trusting the process, keep making themselves better. So if they can get a big win tonight, it'll do wonders for team morale, and Andrew King, who's a great football coach, can keep trucking forward with that. East and Howland. This is a pretty fun one. I think both teams are big. Both teams are physical. Both teams have depth. But what I think might be the difference, really, East also has a couple of speed guys on the outside that you have to watch out for. So they can hit you with those play action passes where you get so used to playing a physical football game, and then all of a sudden, your press coverage gets absolutely burned, and they hit you for the big one. So you got to watch out for that if you're the Tigers. And if you are the Tigers, you got to stick with your run game, right? You got to get what got you here. Anytime they find any success in games that they've played, it's been their run game. It's been running the ball between the tackles and just pushing around their opponent. They have to stick to that. They cannot go away from it when things aren't going well. They got to trust what they're the best at. I think this one, before the season started, if you would have told me Valley Christian and Lisbon is going to be a thriller, I would have been like, the way Valley Christian played last year and the way they're coming back, no, come on. But this Lisbon team, they're for real. They just beat United, and they're back home, and they're feeling the juices. Just like, we talked about how you come out from a big loss. We've talked about that. How does Lisbon handle winning? Because these group of kids haven't been in a situation where they're coming off of a big win before. Right? Their football team has been one of those ones that has been struggling. So now they have a huge win under their belt. How do they handle the next week of work? We're going to find that out today, because Valley Christian has no good intentions coming into Lisbon. They've already had a scare this year, so you're not going to get them sleepwalking. No way Coach Hake lets them sleepwalk twice in a season. So if Lisbon's going to beat Valley Christian, I guarantee they'll beat them at their best. You're not going to see a Valley Christian team like that East Palestine game where they're shooting themselves in the foot and slowly but surely let East Palestine get so close to them. I don't think that's going to be this case. I think this is going to be a team that will play their best, and if Lisbon's going to win, they're going to have to strap up and beat Valley Christian at their best football. I'm not saying Valley won't ever make a mistake, but it's not going to be like, back-to-back holdings, and now we're sitting at, first and 35, and we have nothing to do with this drive, and we're just going to give it right back to East Palestine when they have the momentum. I don't think we're going to see that kind of unforced, self-inflicted wounds from Valley Christian. I could be wrong. Lisbon's a hard atmosphere to play in. One of the things that makes Lisbon really tough is, if you've ever been to Lisbon, all their stands are on one side of the field. So you get everything right at your face, right? It's not circular. You don't have to, only tune out one side of the field, and maybe you can hear your fans on the other side if you just kind of, close one ear and open the other. This one's like your fans and their fans are fighting for loudness, and it's all coming from the same side. So it's definitely a tough atmosphere to play in Lisbon. We're going to see what goes down. I think this one's sneakily exciting. Does Valley Christian bring Lisbon down to earth, or does Lisbon prove the last week wasn't a fluke? Can't wait for it. And I can't wait for Rick Daly's call. Let's be real. Edgewood hosting Madison. They're trying to bounce back from a game where their offense was finally slowed down a little bit. So can their offense get back on track? We've seen them score a ton of points this year. So if they can do that, they're going to be okay. How about LeBray hosting Brookfield? LeBray all of a sudden getting momentum, getting their mojo a little bit. Brookfield has been a very good football. I think this is a sneaky competitive game. Don't sleep on this game just because it doesn't quite have the conference standing implications, because both teams are in the conference with Garfield, which seems like they're running away with it. But just because that is the case, don't sleep on this Brookfield LeBray game. I think it's going to be a very competitive one. Might be one of the thrillers that we get on the network tonight. Old school Youngstown rivalry between Cardinal Mooney and Cheney in Cheney. It's a big opportunity for Mooney to just put their stamp on the city of Youngstown and say, this is ours. This is our spot. Cheney is a physical team. We've seen them play tremendous defense this year. So they're going to have to win that way because they haven't been an offense that has been blowing people out of the water. So if Cheney's going to win this game, they got to be defensive. They got to keep Cardinal Mooney down to like the 21, 17, 20, that kind of score. I think if Cardinal Mooney gets over 28, then this game's going to be, a runaway for the Cardinals, who have scored quite a bit this season. Ursuline will try to just keep on keeping on. Akron, St. Vincent, St. Mary. Ursuline on the road, and it's going to be a fun one because it's a battle of the Irish, right? Battle of the Irish between Ursuline and St. V's. What's going to go down there? I don't know too much about St. V's this year. I haven't been able to see them yet, but I will tell you that this Ursuline team looks different. They just look different. Like, they've been really good for a couple of years now. But one of the big differences this year, and I think other people have said it, and I'll say it, I've said it before, I'll say it again, they are a much more disciplined team this year. They're not making those silly mistakes they've made in the past or those unforced turnovers. They're just not doing it. They're just playing clean football. And if you're going to beat them, you have to play clean football too. They're putting pressure onto their offenses. They're still taking the ball away, still being aggressive. But they're not making those unforced errors that we've seen Ursuline make the last couple of years that held them back from being that state championship caliber team. Watch out for Ursuline. I think they're poised for a very big splash, which is a playoffs this year. Got two more to talk about. Jefferson going to Lakeside. I'm very intrigued by this one because Lakeside has played like a different team this year. They haven't had all the wins in the world, but they have definitely gotten more wins than last year. And Jefferson comes to town. They need to win bad. So records out the window. This is going to be a fun one. Last but not least, Beaver Local making their NE8 rounds, right? They played Niles last week. Now they'll play Hubbard. On the road in Hubbard. Hubbard needs a win. Hubbard needs a win. They have won in different ways, and that's what always impresses me about Hubbard this year. We've seen them win a very defensive battle. We've seen them win an offensive one where they have to score 30-plus points. So we know they can do both things. We know they can win different ways. It's just, can they do it in one night? Can they put it all together? Can they have a defensive performance that's good enough to win and an offensive performance that's also good enough to win at the same time? Because so far in the last couple of weeks, they haven't been able to do that. And in their wins, they've been really heavily slanted towards one or the other. They got into a scoring match or they had a really defensive game, but they haven't been able to put those two together in one game and say, hey, we played really good defense and we executed our offense really well today. They haven't been able to say that yet this season. So can the Eagles do that? That's going to be the big key to this game. And can Beaver Local bounce back? Can their offense find the rhythm again? They're a 2-loss team now. And in both games, it's been because their offense has been slowed down. It's all about Austin Klein and that thrilling offense. Can they stay away from turnovers And can they stay away from those unforced mistakes that just take them out of their rhythm? If they stay in system, if they stay ahead of the chains, they're going to be okay. Their offense is so electric. So that's going to be the keys to watching that one on my end, which will bring us right to the end of the show, right? We timed this really perfectly. We got through all of them, and we're right at the end of the hour gap. So all these games, want to remind you, as I do go through the comments, I'm sorry if I missed it. I was on the scoreboard, but this comment is lazy. It's a link, so it's spam. Don't follow the links that get put on comments. It's a epidemic on Facebook right now. Quick reminder that the only way you can watch these games is ysnlive.com. No one else is broadcasting them. Don't fall for the links. It's just us. If it's not YSN, it ain't happening. Go to ysnlive.com/live. Check out all the games on the schedule. Let's shout out our announcers and see who will be out and about and where before we shut down today. All right, Beaver Local, Ed Hubbard, Jamie Thompson, and Zach Svensson on the call, 7 o'clock kickoff. Brookfield at LeBray, CJ Bako going to be on the call for that one. I think it's going to be very competitive. Champion at Campbell, we're going to have Nate DeCross and Quinn in Campbell for that one. Gary Burton going to be in East Liverpool as Edison comes to town. Wow TV, the host of Conneaut, going to be at that Conneaut versus Geneva game. DJ Oakley and Chris Colucci going back to South Range for their home opener in the NE8 against Girard. 7 o'clock kickoff there. Grand Valley going to Harvey, and that'll be Tyler Hartz and the Grand Valley students taking care of that one. Jefferson at Lakeside. Sam Torres, the 440 group, going to be in Lakeside for that. Edgewood hosting Madison, and it's going to be Larry Jennings on the call there. McDonald and Lowville, Eric Hughes going to be in the Rockets launch pad for that one, a good one in the MVAC Scarlet tier. Chris Sigler and Gary Niddle going to be at Niles for Poland versus Niles. That's going to be a fun one for Chris to go call. I think that's the first NE8 game, all NE8 game, I should say, he's going to be calling. So gets to be on the call with Gary Niddle. I think that's the first time those two have been on the broadcast together too. So that should be a fun one in Niles for sure. Our Salem crew, Matt Mowry and Jared Niederheis, are going to be following Salem to Minerva. Joe Eusebio going to be in Columbiana as Southern comes to town. Struthers and Lakeview going to be Steve Hodge and Tom Otto on the call there. Tim Corso and Julian Johnson going to be traveling with Ursuline as they go to Akron, St. Vincent, St. Mary. Rick Daly on the call for Lisbon as Valley Christian comes to town trying to halt the Lisbon machine. Alec Caberna going to be on the call for our Archbishop Hoban against Walsh Jesuit. Bob Zanny going to be in Jackson Milton for Waterloo coming to town. The Figley brothers going to be at East Palestine. Can they get their first win of the season against Wellsville? Wyndham School going to be covering Ashtabula St. John and Wyndham. Donnie Riccatelli going to be traveling to Warren Harding. John Ostapowicz going to be at Cheney for Cardinal Mooney at Cheney. Matt Marr and Jordan Barber going to be on the call for Garrettsville Garfield at Liberty. Michael Janaki will have you covered for West Branch. We'll have Tony Perazio on the call for Crestview and Newton Falls. Derek Rhodes gets you covered with United at Latonia. Dom O'Brien going to be traveling with Warren JFK to Rootstown. We'll have Noah Doty and CJ Schroeds on the call at Springfield for that big one with the Blue Devils and Tigers, and then a video-only broadcast at Orange for Perry and Orange. So that one's going to be on the call. So only 2 games that we're not going to be able to be covering, Middle Ridge and Pie Valley at Fairport, the only 2 YSN teams that will unfortunately not have announcers there. But 27 games, if you counted that, all on the network today. Real quickly, we'll go into tomorrow. We're going to go into overtime a little bit, but I don't care. Let's go into tomorrow, see what's going to be on the network tomorrow as well. I will be in Champion for a volleyball tri-match at 10 o'clock in the morning. It will be Bloomfield, Champion, and Warren JFK all going at it. And then Matt Marr going to be on the volleyball scene at Salem as they host Southeast. Girls soccer, we're going to have Lakeview hosting Badger. CJ Bako going to be on the call there. Boys soccer tomorrow, Badger at Lakeview. CJ Bako, that's going to be a doubleheader. 12 o'clock, and 2. Girls start off that doubleheader at 12, boys at 2, and that'll do it for our Saturday coverage as we go into a wonderful weekend. I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. Remember that the Power Hour today will pick all these games, and you'll be able to find most of our announcers on that broadcast as well as they pick the Friday night action in the Power Hour Super Show. All these games live at ysnlive.com/live. And also, please tune into the Audible call brought to you by WRS Wealth Advisors with our buddy Mike Ackelson tonight. That will go right before kickoff. Usually we are live at 6:55. Thank you guys for tuning in today to Running Point. We'll be back on Monday to recap all the wonderful action over the weekend. Until then, we'll see you.